Hey there, CENIMASTER fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Begins in Thailand. Archaeologist Luke rides his scooter while ignoring all the calls from someone named Kasim. A bunch of cars surround him, and Kasim asks Luke to return the tube with a painting he stole from his boss. Kasim's men is armed, so Luke announces he'll pull over. He stops the scooter and waits for the cars to move ahead before taking a different road. Ensues, and Luke moves fast enough to make his pursuers crash against other cars. Enters the market where the cars can't follow, so the only enemy left is a guy on a bike. There's an apartment. The space is so tight that the biker crashes too. After going, Luke leaves the building only to get blocked by Kasim's car. He's thrown, but since the locals immediately surround the car, Luke gets to crawl away. Kasim's out by shooting in the air and sends his thugs to continue the chase on foot. With egg, Luke moves as fast as possible while his enemies open fire. He calls to tell them he won't make it to his flight, so they tell him to take the train instead. At market, Luke steals a merchant's food cart, and Kasim follows him in his car again. Luke disconnects the food cart from the bike, and it crashes against Kasim's vehicle, causing the flames to spread and cover his windshield. Kasim then crashes into the traffic, and the police surround him while Luke gets to escape. At the station, Luke jumps off the bike and runs after the train, managing to get aboard at the last second. He falls asleep on his seat and dreams of being in an ancient building where he finds and steals a golden mask. When he wakes, he finds a woman named Esme sitting across from him. She explains recover unique paintings and that the men in the other seats work for her. Luke refuses to, so Esme takes out a knife as a thug starts choking him from behind. Esme tries to take Luke when he doesn't let go, only for him to grab her arm instead. By taking off her jacket, then Luke grabs a plate from a table in the thug's head before headbutting him to finally force him to drop him. Now he can grab Esme on another thug. However, Esme quickly beats him up again. Luke has to fight off another man before, and Esme defends herself with a knife, accidentally cutting the tube strap in the process. As they hold on to different ends, Luke dodges the flying knife and pulls at the tube to send Esme into the bathroom where he locks her up. Afterward, Luke roof of the train car and waits until a water tower is close enough to jump onto it. He doesn't grab the and ends up falling through a shack's roof. Then, calls his teammate to ask them to pick him up. In London, Luke's sister Charlotte is discussing the details of her divorce with her cheating ex-husband Harold and his lawyer. It's full custody of their son, which makes her very angry. Later, Charlotte is at work at the museum and is shocked to find Luke. He pretends he's here to visit her, but they almost never see each other, so Charlotte guesses he's in trouble. Luke thinks Charlotte should join him in his adventures like they used to do with their father. Charlotte reminds him she's a mother now, so she wants to keep her curator job. He tells her that there's damage on one of the paintings. While she looks at it, he steals a different painting from the wall. The alarm goes off and Luke runs, as the doors begin locking themselves. Charlotte falls outside and asks for the painting, but Luke says he'll only give it to her if she gets in his car. Speed, doing some crazy turns to confuse the police vehicles that are now chasing him. After going streets, he enters the back of a truck driven by his teammates Murphy and Depp. Charlotte was there, her father's old team. While Luke is over the life she's chosen, Murphy takes a close look at stolen painting and concludes it's not what they're looking for. Luke tells her to take the painting back before putting her to sleep with a spray. She wakes up alone on a park bench. Charlotte rushes back to the museum where Inspector Jamal is investigating the case. Suspicious of Charlotte helping Luke, while they argue, they notice that the painting has been put back in its place. After work, Charlotte tries to pick up her son Thomas. Harold won't let him go with her because he's heard that she's a suspect. A furious Charlotte goes to yell at Luke for ruining her life and finds him hanging out with a rich man named Owen. He's dying of cancer, so he's hired the team to find the Fountain of Youth, which may be the only cure. Charlotte says that the fountain is just a myth, but links all myths have a trace of truth behind them. Cultures have written about the fountain across all continents, which can't be a coincidence. That the location of the fountain is hidden from men by God. He believes that the information has been passed down from generation to generation in specific families that form the protectors of the path, whose job is to protect the secret. Luke theorizes that Esme is one of those protectors. Clues in different paintings from other countries. Secret signatures that read 6 and 1 in Latin, meaning 6 canvases but 1 path. With different letters, but the team hasn't figured out their meaning yet. She says they've stolen the wrong Rembrandt painting and want her to share where the real one is. She's joining them because she's too worried about her son. offers his very powerful lawyers to help her. Turn, Charlotte tells them to research the Vanderbilt family. In the evening, Luke is reading about the Vanderbilts in a cafe where he's approached by Ed. She tells him to drop the search or she'll have to shoot every single team member. The next day, Luke attends Thomas's piano recital and tells Charlotte he's found the real painting. After some arguing, he convinces her to join the retrieval. Sometime later, the team is on a ship in Ireland looking for a sunken cruise liner where the painting was last seen. Special drones are sent underwater to cut the part of the cruise liner containing all the first-class goods and attach flotation tanks to it to bring it up to the surface. Once the cruise liner is up, the siblings go inside to find the painting with Charlotte acting as a guide thanks to an old map. Main ship, the team detects something approaching them on the radar and tries to warn Luke, but the radios aren't working. There soon drops Esme and her men on the cruise liner. Charlotte drinks some alcohol she found in a cabinet, while Luke uses a blowtorch to open a closet with Vanderbilt's name. Takes out an old box. Inside, he finds the missing painting, so the siblings have a toast to their success. Luke wants to steal some jewelry too. Charlotte slaps his hand, reminding him that they aren't grave robbers. Flotation tanks are starting to fail, so the siblings don't have much time left. When they try to leave, they're surrounded by Esme's team who are all armed. Stop the duo from fighting them, and in the process the bag with the painting falls. They open fire which blocks Esme from approaching the bag. The bounce when the liner's metal and even hit the helicopter. They damage the flotation tanks too. The crew's flooding and Luke slips on the water so a man takes the chance to hold him at gunpoint. Charlotte breaks his head and Luke rushes to retrieve the painting only to freeze when Esme takes Charlotte hostage. The helicopter leaves because of and the cruise liner starts going down. Luke doesn't believe that Esme will hurt and tries to buy time when suddenly the cruise liner starts shaking. Charlotte uses the chance to hit Esme, push her over the balcony to drop her in the water. When the siblings try to run out, a wave pushes them back in. Luke's leg gets stuck in a net, keeping him underwater. As the liner begins to sink, dives in and frees her brother, allowing them to quickly swim to the surface and be rescued by their team in a boat. When Charlotte returns to Harold asks her to take Thomas because he's moving to Japan for a new job. He mentions Tiffany and Charlotte realizes Owen did this so she could have the kid. Then she joins the letters again using the new painting. They form the word wicked. Because of the 6 in one sentence, they conclude it refers to the Wicked Bible. That's a misprint James Bible from 1631 containing the commandment, "Thou shalt commit adultery," instead of "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Team wonders if it wasn't a mistake, and that misprint was done on purpose to mark specific Bibles that had the clues to find the fountain. All those Bibles were destroyed except for one. Suddenly, Jamal and his officers burst into the room to arrest the siblings. However, they're interrupted by the arrival of Qasim and his men, who keep everyone at gunpoint. Luke offers a deal. Qasim can have him and all the paintings if he lets his... Qasim agrees, and Charlotte leaves the room. Then Luke pretends he's going to grab paintings, but instead he plays some music and quickly hides under. This distraction allows the cops to attack criminals, starting a... Soon punches lead to open fire and Luke's car is damaged by the bullets. In the middle of the chaos, Luke sneaks around and leaves through the back door where his team picks him up on a boat. The fight continues, and in the end, the police win. Jamal looks at the computer and notices the quote from the Wicked Bible. Sometime later, Luke is in a desert where he finds a glass of glowing liquid. When he takes a sip, Charlotte and Thomas begin aging incredibly quickly. A voice says, "Don't drink," and Luke drops the glass. Breaks, he wakes up on a plane. The team to Austria where the last Wicked Bible is, and Thomas has joined the adventure. National Library, Luke, Charlotte, Deb are allowed to enter thanks to a big donation made by Owen. With Thomas at a restaurant answering all the kids' questions about the rich life. The trio in a secret room where the librarian tells them about a second misprint that includes a dirty word. Meanwhile, guard outside and sees Esme arrive with her men, so he warns the others. Luke goes out to meet, and after some banter they start fighting using the shelves and the furniture as props. Quickly beats him up at gunpoint and Luke harms her. So instead, she used choke him. Since she's stepping on the rope, Luke pushes her and leaves her hanging from the chandelier. As Luke returns to the secret, Murphy informs him that the men have covered all the exits, so they need to go with Plan B. The trio puts the librarian to sleep and steals the Bible before Deb puts a small bomb on the floor. This creates a hole that allows escape through the sewers. At the same time, Esme tries to kidnap Owen, who easily beats them up in just a few minutes without letting Thomas get hurt. In the evening, arrives at the library and starts tracking Luke. At a hotel, checks the Bible and finds a large digit repeating pattern on the gilding that only uses the numbers 1 to 7. However, they can't decode it. At that moment, it announces she's leaving because she's heard what happened to Thomas and doesn't want to put him in danger. On their way, that the team is tackling the problem the wrong way. The duo immediately goes. Thomas tells the team that the digits aren't literal numbers. They represent the 7 basic music. He plays a song following the code, and a search reveals it's Water in the Desert. This song is so old that nobody knows who, but it honors the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The team highlights the 7 wonders on a map, path from the paintings on top of it, to discover that both paths line up, except for the pyramids of Giza, which means the fountain is there. They get ready to travel to Egypt, and owe Charlotte to come by promising that he's hiring security. That night, Luke dreams about the mask again, and this time, a strange figure reaches out to him. When it touches the sand, a black substance and corrupts Luke. At that moment, he wakes up and Charlotte asks him about Owen. Luke promises he's a cool guy, but he may want to find the fountain to sell it. Meanwhile, in the Vatican, the leader gives Esme a special key to stop anyone from drinking from the fountain. Sometime later, the team arrives and Luke shows Thomas some advanced scans that reveal hidden chambers which were never accessed until today. At the pyramid, Charlotte watches the team and wonders why they have so many bags. A famous professor gives them a tour of but he doesn't know how to get into the secret chambers. Owen is getting very impatient and orders digging, revealing that the things in their bags are tools. The professor protests against damaging such an historical monument, but Owen's men kick him out. Charlotte also protests and Owen snaps at his speech, getting more cold and calculated. Outside, Jamal arrives and asks to be guided, but the guards send him away. Jamal comes back in a few minutes with a bunch of so the security team opens fire and starts blowing the vehicles up. The survivors take cover and fire back. Nearby, Esme watches and waits. Back to the team, they find a hidden passage and finally reach the special chamber. There's a large structure that needs to be moved, but they aren't strong enough. Owen orders his men to get their tools, and Charlotte is to notice they have guns in their bags too. The tools don't work either, and Owen wants sieves, which both siblings test against. While the adults argue, Thomas finds an instrument and starts playing it, which reveals a system of pipes in the chamber that transmit the sound and affect the structure. At the right moment, Charlotte hits the gun and the entire chamber shakes before the sand on the structure begins forming shapes. Using just one hand, Charlotte moves the structure to uncover a lift. The team hops on it and starts going down. Outside, Murphy and Deb decide the team has gone too far and surprise them from behind to bring a few men down. Unfortunately, Deb gets shot in the arm and rescue her. When a guard is about to kill them, Esme cuts the surrounding thugs up. More men come after her with open fire. She uses a body as a shield while shooting back. Once the security team has been defeated, Jamal and Esme agree to work together. They enter the pyramid where they proceed to beat up or shoot all the guards protecting the open structure. Esme finds rope in the bag to go down the lift shaft. Underground, the lift stops the team in a corridor with paradoxical inscriptions on the walls. They reach a dead end with a carving of the So Charlotte takes an amber of goddess Nate and puts it on the tree. The wall opens and they enter another to find themselves at a great height. Luke touches a jewel on a carving and a bunch of stairs to come out from the walls. They go down the stairs and reach the ground where a hole suddenly opens to reveal even more stairs and another chamber. There's a small puddle of water in the middle, fountain of youth. Charlotte reminds everyone of the warnings on the wall. If someone isn't ready to get a blessing, they'll get a curse instead. Owen wants Luke to drink first and gets pretty aggressive. So Charlotte guesses he's not really dying, leaving him with what to drink. As soon as Luke touches the puddle, water starts filling the chamber to make an N. Blood falls from Luke's wound and the water surrounds him to lift him. Low and Luke sees a younger version of himself in them. However, when he also sees Charlotte and Thomas aging rapidly. He chooses to protect his family and pulls his hands apart, so the water rewards him by healing his injury. A furious Owen tries shooting him again, but the water protects Luke before gently putting him down. Drops some of his blood into the fountain too. As the water starts surrounding him, Esme on a wall while remembering what the leader explained. If someone caring drinks the water, they'll be granted eternal youth in exchange for the life of their loved ones. Someone who only loves themselves drinks. The fountain drains that person's own life. Drinks and immediately ages, screaming in unbearable pain. Crazy around him, Esme hits a new gong, and all doors start closing. A hole in the ground does the same, so the team rushes up the stairs and leaves Owen to die in the water. Owen's bodyguard slips and falls to his death. Luke also slips and Esme has to help up. The corridors are also closing, so they have to dodge to make their way out. Once everyone is, Jamal has to admit that the real criminal behind everything was Owen. She's impressed by Luke's strong will and kisses his cheek as she says goodbye. The siblings want to go, and Thomas says he has an idea. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can videos like this. Thanks for watching.